Now, more than ever, we need to focus on stories of strength, courage, and unity. Welcome to COVID Talks, a series dedicated to promoting positive conversations during uncertain times.
Good evening, everyone, and welcome to COVID Talks, our 10th edition of COVID Talks, positive conversations during uncertain times. My name is Anthony Rapp of PR Cision. I'll be your host tonight. We have an amazing guest here with us. We're going to introduce him later, but we have with us legendary news anchor, Emmy Award-winning news anchor, Ernie Anastas from Fox 5 News. He's going to be with us later on, and he'll also be accepting questions. So if anyone has questions, we'll be taking those as well. But for right now, for those who are viewing live, I ask you to do me a favor, go to the bottom of the screen, click that share link, and share this video to your personal page. For those of you listening via podcast, we appreciate it, and thank you for listening, and thank you for downloading us on Spotify or iHeartRadio or wherever you found us. So to kick off the show, as we do every night, we're going to start with some positive headlines. First up, the governor of New York recently created a mandate saying that he was going to require all essential workers and businesses wear a protective face mask for the safety of both the business owners, the employees, and the clients they serve. So this afternoon, the South Shore Business Improvement District, which operates in the towns of Annandale, Eltingville, and Gray Kills, went out and distributed 5,000 face masks to all the businesses located within the district so that they can comply with the mandate, which goes into effect today at 8 p.m. and also didn't have to put the burden of purchasing these masks, which are very hard to come by, didn't have to purchase masks or put that burden on the business owners themselves. Another quick highlight in local news related to Farrell High School. So students at Farrell High School have been busy paying virtual visits to senior citizens in nursing homes across Staten Island. So this is a great way that the students are able to interact with the seniors, and a way in which the seniors who are unfortunately not able to get visitors or guests at this time, they're able to interact, and the kids are able to spread a little joy and give a little cheer to a senior in need during these times. And even though Easter has passed, one local high school created a message that they shared on Facebook and social media to friends, family, and students alike. And it's gotten over 4,000 views so far. It's a great little video. It's a 60-second clip. I'd like to take a second. I'd like to bring it in and let you see. And this is a video from St. Joseph by the Sea High School and their staff.
Wish you and your families a very happy and healthy Easter. Happy Easter to all. Happy Easter.
Happy Easter to you and your family.
From my family to yours, happy Easter.
Hi, everybody. Just want to wish everybody a happy and healthy Easter.
Happy family. Just want to wish everyone a happy and healthy Easter. Hope to see you soon.
Happy Easter.
Hey, Viking Nation. We miss all of you. Can't wait to see you when we all get back.
I wanted to wish you and your families a very happy Easter. I wish you and your families a very blessed and happy Easter.
From the parents to you guys, wishing you a happy and safe Easter.
Happy Easter. Miss you guys.
To wish you and your family, for me and my family, a very healthy and happy Easter.
For those of you who happen to have family or loved ones on the front lines, just let them know they're all in our thoughts and prayers. We appreciate their sacrifice. And from my family to yours,
Happy Easter!
And so again, Easter has passed, but it was just a very nice video that St. Joseph by the Sea High School put together. The faculty and staff put that together for the students and families to spread some positive news. And again, it's getting great traction even till today. It's got upwards of 4,000 views on social media. So shout out to St. Joseph by the Sea High School. And finally, we have my favorite headline of the day. We have a very interesting headline. We have a gentleman, a 99-year-old war veteran, gentleman named Tom Moore, who has managed to single-handedly raise over $9 million for the National Guard, for the National Health Service in the United Kingdom. Now, what Mr. Moore did, Mr. Moore, again, is 99 years old. What he did was put up a GoFundMe page where he basically challenged himself to walk around his backyard 100 times. And again, for a 99-year-old, that's difficult. Walk around his backyard 100 times between now and his 100th birthday. And Mr. Moore will turn 100 years old in 15 days on April 30th. So an amazing story. Gentlemen, took a good idea and has managed to raise $9 million for the UK's National Health Service that's going to go directly into the hands of first responders. So it's a great job. And again, just some more positive news. A PSA, as we always do, just ways to get in touch and learn more about us. You can follow us on our Facebook page at COVID Talk. Check out our website dedicated to COVID Talks at covid-talks.com. We have a YouTube channel. Please go ahead and subscribe to it. You can find it at COVID Talks. And again, you can find us on Spotify and iTunes as a podcast under COVID Talks. And last, if you or someone you know is interested in being a guest, if you have an idea for a topic, simply shoot us an email at info@prcision.com. We'll be more than happy to field the request. We'd love to have you on. We'd love to get any positive news that you may have to share in front of our audience and also in front of our podcast members. And tomorrow night, we encourage you to join us for our restaurant talk. So right now, restaurants all over are suffering due to the crisis, especially here on Staten Island. So we have one of the most prominent restaurateurs on Staten Island, Mr. Carmine Gualtieri. Carmine will be with us tomorrow night talking about his restaurants. He has 5 locations here on the island, what they've been doing, how they've been functioning, and what they've been doing, more importantly, to service our first responders and get food and supplies to people on the front lines here on the island. All right. So right now, that's enough for me. It's enough of the headlines. So tonight, I'm truly honored. This is an amazing night for me. I hope you watching at home, and I hope you listening at home now or in the future really appreciate this. We have with us tonight a man who is literally one of the most recognizable faces in news media. And I say that, and I don't say that lightly. There is not a person around who does not know this gentleman's face. He has been broadcasting media since we were kids, and he has been doing it amazingly. He is a Emmy award-winning journalist. He is a best-selling author. He wrote a children's book series called Earning the Big News. He also has his own day here in New York City. So the mayor declared that March 21st here in New York, since 2017 and thereafter, will forever be known as Ernie Anastas Day. So outside of all those accolades, I have the privilege of knowing him personally, of being a friend to him for many, many years. I consider him a mentor. I've had the privilege of working on many projects with him as well. A true family man, a true gentleman. There's no one more down to earth than our next guest. So ladies and gentlemen, I'm going to bring up my good friend, Mr. Ernie Anastas.
Hey.
Ernie, are you there?
I am so happy to be with you tonight, Anthony. I appreciate that wonderful introduction. And, you know, we do go back a long way. We're good friends, and we've done some nice work together, some journalistic projects and some charity events. And it's a pleasure to be here, to be talking to you and to a wonderful array of people out there from Staten Island throughout the tri-state area. And, you know, it's a special time to be here. And I know we're going to talk about a lot of things tonight, but thank you so much for having me on the program. I appreciate that.
Well, if there's anyone that could correlate, at least in my mind, with spreading positive news, it's you. You've been doing it since before it was cool to do. Let's just call it what it is. Yeah. So before we get into our in-depth conversation, just share with our audience how you began your career in broadcasting, some of your accomplishments. I mean, you have so many, but pick and choose. Give us a little bit of your background.
You know, Anthony, I think it's important to point something out. And I try and share this story with a lot of young people when I go out to schools and I give them a copy of my book, and it's all about a career in broadcasting. And many times they'll ask me, you know, how did you know about this? How did you get started as a broadcaster? And I will go back to school days, and I feel so strongly about teachers and the amazing role that they have, you know, to help shape our lives in so many different ways. When I was in junior high school, we had a career day. You know, when someone comes in and they talk about whatever their job happens to be, whatever the career happens to be focused on. And I remember I was sitting there listening to a bunch of different people. And when it was over, I went to my homeroom teacher, Miss Evelyn Ryan. She was lovely. And I said to her, Miss Ryan, how do you know what career to choose? How do you decide that? And she looked at me and she said, she used to call me Ernest. She said, Ernest, whatever you enjoy doing will be the avenue to your success. And I had to pause for a minute. I was 13 years old. And I said, Miss Ryan, what does that mean? She said, well, what do you like to do that comes natural to you? Something that you enjoy doing when you have free time. I said, oh, I've got like a little radio station down in my basement, and I spin records and I read the news and I play things, on the air, like my mother's listening upstairs. I have wires. She said, that's it. That's it. She said, you want to be a broadcaster and this is your field. She said, you have to pursue that. So I'll never forget that. Whatever you enjoy doing will be the avenue to your success. So at 13, I had a little radio station of my own that I put together with wires and so forth. My mother would be cooking upstairs and I would be broadcasting. And I did that 13, 14, 15 years old. I was in high school. And it was like kind of a fun thing that I would do, when I had spare time. Well, at 16 years old, I went to the regular radio station, the regular station in my town. And I knocked on the door and I said, do you think maybe I could have a job here, sweeping the floors and putting records away, made records, right? And he said to me, he said, you've got a pretty good voice. Well, why don't you sit down and let me have you read something? And I read news for him and I read a commercial for him. And he said, you know what? I have a radio program that's going to start in 3 weeks. And it's called Saturday Morning Discussion. And we bring in high school students from all the different schools around this area. And you will be the host. You'll talk to them about social things that are going on, activities at school, and they'll play their top records and they'll dedicate them to whoever they want. It's a 1-hour show. That was it. I was on the air at 16 and I haven't been off the air since.
From sweeping the floor to getting your own show all in one shot. That's pretty impressive.
Yeah. Can you imagine that? It's incredible. And so just having that feeling has not changed. No matter where I am, no matter how large the audience, when you're on the air in New York, you're talking to thousands, hundreds of thousands, millions of people that are out there. But I never think about that. I mean, I think about people individually, who's watching me now? What person did I meet recently on the street? I don't think of the masses. I think more in terms of individuals. And by doing that, it makes it more personal for me. And it reminds me of when I first started at 16 years old. So that feeling to me is very warm, sincere, and real. And it's what keeps me grounded. I like that.
That's great. So prior to everything that's going on right now,
yes,
you're involved in so many things. You're involved in so many charities and so many different areas and avenues outside of the broadcast arena. But if you had to pick or choose one or two things in your career, whether it would be writing a book, whether it be whatever it may have been, what would be one of your highlights of your career?
Boy, Anthony, that's a tough question. If you look behind me here, I've got a number of, I don't know if I can lean this way, but I guess it's this way.
Yeah, there you go.
I have several things that are out here. And when I think back on perhaps what stands out the most, I've been on the air since 1978. And that's 40 years of broadcasting. And there's a lot of history there. So many different stories, whether they were papal visits, whether they were Giants winning, the Super Bowl, whether it was the Yankees winning and the Mets winning,
right.
All these things that are so much fun, but there are some serious stories as well. And I remember 9/11 vividly,
of course,
which we all remember in the New York area. And it was such a personal story for us. Being on the air every day, every night, and reporting that story was just so heartbreaking in many ways and very personal. So I'll never forget going there. I was on ground zero 2 days after it happened. I managed to walk around and got a feel for what was happening. That was probably one of the strongest stories that I've ever covered. I also remember going to London to cover the death of Princess Diana. That was quite a big story. Or when John F. Kennedy Jr. died in a plane crash, I covered that story as well. But there was the death of Nelson Rockefeller. I was the only reporter covering that story in 1979.
Wow.
But, there were so many different interviews with presidents, celebrities. But I really feel, and you know this from watching me, one of the most important things to me is connecting with people, with the viewers, the people who are out there right now. And that's why I love to go out on the street and ask my question of the day and listen to people, ordinary people, let's say, who just have a great story to tell about life. You started your program tonight with all these wonderful stories of that 99-year young man,
right,
a veteran. I mean, stories like that, to interview someone like that and to hear his story or hear someone's story that's personal and important to them, that stays with me. That stays with me. That's real journalism. And I put that at the top, and then I follow everything else.
So I mean, the personal relationship, the good news. So as I said earlier, you've been promoting positive news and doing positive things every day or every other day on your social media pages. You're posting videos of yourself, whether it be singing in the car, spreading positive. But you were doing all this before it was cool, right? Because now everyone is trying to do something, but you've been doing it a long time.
Well, I'm happy to hear that.
What was the driving force behind that? What was the response of the audience? I mean, you're doing it, and what's your feedback? You're doing it. You're walking up to people on the streets of New York.
Right.
I see you doing it, and just asking questions, and people love it. But what's the thought process behind that?
Well, I think it goes back to what I studied in school. I was always interested in human behavior. And maybe I would have I enjoyed being a psychologist or something along those lines, but sociology really, drew me in. And I said, I like studying human behavior, why people do the things they do, why they feel a certain way, why they act a certain way, how we're motivated, how can we pick up the human spirit. I always enjoyed that. So I majored in sociology and anthropology in college and in graduate school. And I always felt that was most important. Never took a course in journalism, because I had the experience of
Never took a course in journalism.
Never took a course in journalism. I always studied sociology and anthropology, and those were my fields. English, of course, but I've always believed in the human spirit. I've always felt that lifting up that spirit, your own and other people, that to me is something that is a challenge in life, and it's a gift, and it's a mission. And as we mature, as we grow in stature and time, I think we realize more and more how important it is, particularly right now, with what we're all experiencing with coronavirus. We have to look at one another and say, how is this going to change us? Look how we are really connected from, whether it's from China to New York, to Los Angeles, to Italy, to any part of the world, any part of the country. We are connected. We're all breathing the same air. We're looking at the same sun or the same moon. And we have to realize that we're all one family. And we have to appreciate the diversity in life and the commonality that we have to respect one another, to approve of each other's way of life, to embrace it, to help one another, to improve our manners, to have more respect and more sense of purpose and value in life. I'm hoping that that's going to leave a mark on us from what we're experiencing right now. It's a very difficult time. It's painful, and it's very serious in many ways for a lot of people. But I'm hoping that out of all of this, there will be a bright light that will shine, and we'll all learn from this in some way and make this world a better place. We hear that a lot, but it happens to be true. And that's why I love positive stories, because I think I was imbued with that in my home. My grandfather was a Greek Orthodox priest. He was one of the first 100 ordained in the United States. And I was very happy about him. He passed away when I was about 11, 12 years old, but he left a lot of good things with me. And a lot of books that I read from time to time about a sense of who you are and what your purpose in life would be. There's one quote from a Greek philosopher that says, I have a wish to die young, but as late in life as possible.
Yeah. Well,
so we look at that, and what does that mean? It means a youthful spirit. No matter what age you're at, to feel like you're still a young person, with places to go and things to do, and a mission in life that makes you feel that you have a purpose and a value for what you're here on this earth to do. I love that.
And now you said something that has been coming out somewhat in the media. And the commonality of the family, right? So this is not a political, this is not a religious, this is a attack against humanity. It's a problem for humankind. This is not, there are no borders. So one of the things that journalists and broadcast and print and media in general are responsible for is you guys in reality are the single and most prolific way in which the common person receives information. But with that comes a great burden, because you have the burden to carry of being accurate, being timely, and mixing up positivity and the reality. So I guess the question becomes, do you feel, or how do you feel journalists are doing right now with trying to balance out facts and figures, which they have to report? You know, you have to say what the death toll is. You have to say that. It's important. You need to say what the testing is doing. You need to say where to get tested. But you're also able to, at some point in the program, the story, the newspaper, you're able to balance it out with a good story like the one we shared about that 99-year-old gentleman.
Exactly.
So do you feel right now that the industry is doing that, or do you feel like they're falling victim to more of the doom and gloom, or what are your thoughts?
Well, you know, having been, you know, involved in this media since the time I was a young person, at 16 years old, and working my way through, Walter Cronkite was a mentor in many ways. He was a good friend, and I spent a lot of time with Walter when I was at CBS and even after that. And we would talk about this, and he would always point out to me, and he was the dean of newscasters.
Of course.
And he would always, yes, I mean, what a gentleman, and what a absolute role model for all of us in the television industry. But I remember talking with Walter, and it was about tone. It was about how you present the information, how you portray it with your voice and with your expressions, how it's written and how it's presented to the audience. He would say to me, Ernie, we are watchdogs. We're not attack dogs and we're not lap dogs, but we're watchdogs. And when we go on with our stories, we bark, and we want people to listen. And if they want to respond to it, if there's an issue that they want to get involved in, then we've presented it to them. That's our role. I think the media, and these are so many of my colleagues, and I respect them for working so hard. You know, the people in this business, so many people that I know, I mean, not only in New York, but all across the country, and I've worked with so many people over the years, they're dedicated. Their heart and soul is into doing a good job and to presenting news and information because they believe that this is their calling. This is what they are supposed to be doing. It's a difficult time because you have all of this negative news, if you will, okay, hard facts that you have to present. But at the same time, you look for an opening to be able to put in a positive story, a glimmer of hope somewhere. As we've seen on the news, there are people, frontline people who are out there every day. You know who they are. Look what they're doing. We're sharing those stories with our viewers, and we're giving them shout outs, and we're presenting stories about people who are giving them food and shelter and support, providing them with the equipment, the masks, the gowns, the gloves, whatever they need to protect themselves. But here they are on the front line. These are real soldiers, foot soldiers, who are out there doing an amazing job. So when it comes to journalists, I take my hat off to them for doing an amazing job during this difficult time. And many stations are on the air who will give some commentary because that happens to be their format. There are stations that give you straight news reporting. There are other stations that have to fill 24/7 of news and information. Right. So therefore you are going to have commentary. And there are controversial issues that we know are out there, and we have to deal with those. We have to try to present them. But I think overall, to answer your question, I think journalists are really trying very hard to do a terrific job out there and to make sure that you're informed, and also trying to get those positive stories across to people to know that there's hope and there's a plan to make sure that our world is safe. And I believe there is a plan out there, whether it's on Earth or somewhere else, to protect us all. I really believe that. I think that's very fundamental.
Well, you know me. I agree with that 1,000%. But I wanted to just take what you said and kind of turn it a little bit. So You're talking about all the great work that our first responders are doing, and God bless them, they're doing amazing work.
Absolutely.
But one of the things that I am guilty of it myself, but I know I would say the general population doesn't think of, journalists themselves are on the front lines as well. I mean, absolutely. I know there aren't rallies right now, and I'm not saying there should be, but there aren't rallies of people holding signs, way to go Fox and great job, but the reality is that the guys and gals who are, especially in broadcast, are out there They're on the scene. They're
Yes.
in the mix. They're holding a microphone. They're within
These
distance.
are the reporters that are on the
Right.
on the
They're,
job.
you know, the reporters are out there
Right.
day in and day out, and I don't
Right,
think
they
anyone
are.
ever thinks of them as first responders. So
Right.
what do you think about are they being protected? Do you know if they're doing anything new? Are they trying to adjust? How is it affecting their day to day as a reporter?
Well, you know, I've talked to many of the reporters, you know, that are out there and doing their job. I think that the stations are trying to protect them as best they can. We are essential because we're disseminating information. And I think it's important for us to recognize that so many broadcasters and those people who are in print journalism, whatever they're doing, they're out there because they want to be there, because they feel that, again, this is their calling. This is what they're supposed to be doing. This is what they love to do. I think as far as protecting them, yes, there are stations that are putting broadcasters at home to be able to do their anchoring from home rather than being in a studio. The reporters that are out or on the street, they're being given, you know, masks and other disinfectants to make sure that they're protected. They're taking precautions to stand away when they're doing interviews.
Right.
They're trying to edit some of these stories, you know, either in the truck, in the van, or some of them are doing it from home on their computer. I think
Wow,
they're
themselves.
making every effort to protect themselves. But you know what? Even at that, I mean, you're still at risk. You're still at risk. And I take my hat off to these people.
Yeah. So
All
so
of
a shout
them,
out
men
to
and women.
all the media people who aren't really getting any shout outs. They're getting criticized. But the reality is they're on the front lines, and we thank you for, you know, keeping us
Sure do.
informed. Because without them, we have no idea what's going on. We can
Exactly.
make believe, but we wouldn't know.
Yeah.
So now, on a personal note, what are
Yes.
I mean, you are a huge family man, and I know that, and I value that in you because
Thank
I'm
you. Thank
I'm
you.
similar. I love my family.
And
Family.
you too. You're a new dad.
Yeah, that's yep. I mean, and my family is everything. My beautiful wife, my beautiful son. That's it. You know, my family, my brother, my sister. That's the most important thing, and everything else comes second.
Right,
What have you been doing during the quarantine to enhance or create positive vibes within the family?
You know, that's an interesting question. And I'm sure that a lot of people will relate to this. I love being home. I'm a homebody. And it's always been a big part of my life. I come from an ethnic family as well, a Greek American family. So we're used to having people over many times for whether it's celebrating a party of some sort, a birthday or name day or holidays. So we're always having people at home. But I think that, you know, being quarantined, if you will, you know, stay at home, to be here quiet. Fortunately, you know, we've all been healthy. But I will go through albums. And I have a stack of albums, and they're places that we've been with our children. We have 2 children, boy and a girl. They're both grown up and married. We have 4 grandchildren. But I have all these albums of trips that we've taken mostly as a family. That's what we've done. And I look at these photographs of places that we've been to, whether it's been to a foreign country or somewhere in the United States, and it's all memories. And I look at those photographs sometimes, and I'll share them with my wife. I'll share them with the children over the phone because we're not
Right.
connecting with one another. But it's talking about, you know, where we went, what we did, and what the memory was about. I've been doing a lot of that. And I remember interviewing someone once on the news, and she was a social scientist. And I asked her, I said, what is life all about? You know, what should we be thinking about? And she said, you know, life is memories. It's all memories. When you really think about it, whatever you have, you could have a chair that you bought somewhere. You could have a photograph. You could have a book or something that was given to you. And it's a memory. It's a memory of where you were and what you were doing. And it's true. So I've been reliving a lot of memories and talking to friends on the telephone, family, and people that I've known all my life who live in different parts of the country, and we share stories. I've been doing a little cooking.
Nice, very nice.
Yeah, a little cooking at home. And I've been doing a lot of eating.
Yeah, well,
A
we
little
all of us
combination of
are.
both. I've been reading, and I love reading positive stories, and I've been listening to a lot of things on YouTube. There are some terrific people out there who share good thoughts about positivity, and it's inspirational. I've had enough time to be able to just go outdoors and get some fresh air, but I think communion with yourself is very important. I think thinking about your life, what you've accomplished, and what else you want to do with your life. I've always believed that there's always the next thing. Appreciate what you have. I think it's important. Someone once wrote a line and said, success is getting what you want, And happiness is liking what you get. And many times people get so much, and I'm not high on material things. I think you need the basics to be comfortable. I think everybody should have that. And I would love to see everybody, just really be relaxed about life and not have to worry about, paying bills. If you can be fortunate enough to take care of things without being so stressed and strained about finances and trying to live. My heart goes out to people like that, because I was brought up that way, with my grandfather being the priest and my family being philanthropic in their own way. It was always being sensitive to the needs of other people. So I think it's important to be able to stop during this time and appreciate, what you have, and keeping it as simple as you can, to appreciate in your own mind your family, your good health, relationships that you have, the air that you're breathing, the country that we're living in. All the real basics of life should be in the forefront. We should be thinking about those things every day and appreciating it, respecting the past, embracing the future, but living in the now. Mindfulness. Where am I now? What is this day all about? What can I do with this day to make it better for myself and for my family and other people that I come in contact with? I think that's very important.
Couldn't agree more. So
yeah.
before we kind of go into our last segment, I want to invite anyone who's watching to ask a question if they'd like. They could type it in the screen, and we'll take any if they come in. If they don't come in, that's fine. But if they do come in, we will answer it. I will relay the information to Ernie. And we just want to take a quick moment to, again, let you know how you can stay in touch and where you can find us. So again, we are on Facebook at COVID Talk. You can follow us on YouTube at COVID Talks, subscribe to our podcast, or visit us on the web at covid-talks.com. Tomorrow's guest, once again, we have Mr. Carmine Gualtieri, restaurateur from Staten Island, owns over 6 properties here on the island. He's going to be talking to us about what his locations are doing to service and to help the first responders, and what he's doing from a business standpoint to, let's face it, to stay afloat and deal with these times that the restaurants are closed and are only able to do pickup and delivery. So we invite you to tune in again tomorrow night at 7 p.m. All right, so now let's go. We're going to bring it back to Ernie. There you are. And we're going to see if we have any commentary. Ernie, to be quite frank with you, usually it's a bunch of my friends making fun of me. That's usually what the comments are. But we'll see if we have anything else that's positive. We have a lot of people sharing some love for you, saying that you're great. They've watched you for years.
Oh, that's super. Thank you. Thank you very much.
We have Vito Canena. He's one of our longest watching viewers, who's calling you a Greek god. So you know, share that for you. We have my sister who's on as well. Thank you, Mary, for watching. And yeah, I mean, you know what? It's a lot of positive comments about how great you are, and people are excited that you did the show. And,
well, you've been asking a lot of good questions too.
And happy that you're here. I mean, and I got to be honest, I'm very, very pleased. I'm astounded, and I thank you so much for being with us. So I guess a way that I'd like to end before we roll the outro would be, any thoughts on how we could use this time to come out better than we went in? What could we do to make ourselves better in quarantine, or prepare ourselves to become even better when life returns to whatever normal is?
Mm-hmm. You know what I think, Anthony, that we need to do a reset button. I think we need to be able to stop and say, why did this happen? Is there a message here for all of us, all mankind, to stop and think that we are all connected, that this is a world that we all share, and that we need to protect the earth, but we need to protect mankind? And how can we do that? And I think, because I'm in the communications business, I think communicating with one another, finding out what it's like to live in other parts of the world. I know we have so much communication available to us right now. Look what we're doing here. Here we are talking to each other, right? And it's all through the magic of what's happening on the internet and the computers and everything else and all these apps. I think that's incredible, but we're not using it to its fullest. There's always a good and a bad, a plus and a minus with everything in life. And there's a lot of good that comes out of this information highway and communications world that we're in. But we're not using it to its full extent. And I'm hoping that we'll find a way to say, okay, now that we know in the most profound way how we are all connected as a human family, what can we do? What can we do to learn more about life, to learn more about appreciating the basic fundamentals and values of life, to protect our health, to protect our environment, to share more love and understanding with one another? I think we need that. I would love to see a hands across America, hands across the world,
Right.
a concept where we would just be reaching out, either symbolically or physically in some way, to say we are connected. Here we are, we're celebrating life. We're celebrating mankind and humanity and love. You know, a lot of expressions have been around for years. Love is the answer, right? And love is the answer. Love is the answer. It's the most important thing that we can pass along to anyone, and especially to ourselves. I think it has to begin from within yourself. You have to love and honor and respect yourself. And then you're able to do the same thing for other people. So I'm hoping that we'll learn from all of this a better way to communicate with each other, to understand one another, to share love, to protect humanity, and to protect our earth, and believe that we're doing this for ourselves and for future generations.
I love that. And I'm going to end with that, but I did get a good question, Ernie. So if you'll be so kind to accept
absolutely.
one question. We did get a good question that just came in. And again, to our viewers, bear in mind that it only comes in every so often. So you may have asked this 5 minutes ago, but we just got it.
Okay.
The question comes from my very good friend, Vinny Bonomi, a small business owner here on Staten Island. He runs an excellent company. It's called Special Tees. He has underprivileged kids and disabled kids and folks working for him to make T-shirts. And he is a nonprofit. He has multifaceted business, but one of his main things is T-shirts. And he's a great guy, does a great job. His question is valid, and it's actually a very good one. So Ernie, how do you keep your emotions in check when live on air, especially during heart-wrenching stories?
Vinny, I appreciate that. And by the way, before I start, congratulations for all the good work that you're doing. We need this, and you're providing it. And thanks for being a good role model. That's a tough question too, because many times when I've been on the air, I've stopped and I felt the emotion, particularly when I was talking about 9/11 and some other tragic stories, and even now, you know, just reporting what's going on a day-to-day basis. You know, the number of people that are infected, the people who are dying, some very sad stories. I have trained myself to think of myself as a firefighter, someone who has to go in to a burning building and pull out those people, you know, bring them out to safety, and have the equipment on that protects me so that I can do my job. Because if I allow myself to become too emotionally involved in reporting a lot of the stories, I can't be good at it. I'm not comparing myself to a doctor, but it's like a doctor, you know, who has to be able to deal with people who have different types of illnesses, and some are serious, and they can't take that on personally. They have to think of themselves as being the conduit. They're providing information, they're doing something, they're going to make sure that they can take care of their patients as well as they can. I'm taking care of my audience. I look at the camera and I'm saying, I'm talking to real people out here. I'm sharing a story with them. I'm going to try to keep my composure and try to maintain myself so that I can do a good job here and finish the job and know that I performed well.
Vinny, I don't know if you're able to type as quick as that response just came in, but that was a great answer. So Ernie, I thank you. And with that, we are going to end our segment. So again, Ernie, thank you so much.
Thank you so much, Anthony.
Good
luck to you, to your family. You're a wonderful person. I know the people who are watching know this about you. And Anthony is the real thing, a genuine person who really cares and is sincere about his work and has integrity and has positivity as well. And that's why, you know, we share so much today and in the future, because we're going to do a lot of good things together, Anthony, as we always have. Thank you.
I truly appreciate it. We're going to pull you down into the green room. Ernie, stay there, though. We'll talk in a minute. And for everybody else, I want to thank you guys for tuning in. We appreciate it. Thank you for listening on our podcast. Thank you for watching live. Be sure to join us tomorrow night at 7 p.m. as we talk to Carmine Galtieri. And once again, thank you for watching COVID Talks, Positive Talks during uncertain times. Take care.